Awesome. Well, thank you for being here, Janet. Um, yeah, I request to be able to record this. Are you okay with me recording this?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Um, my name is Tom Graham, and welcome to Being Heard. I'm here with Janet Chisholm, and me personally, I'm committed to everyone being heard, even myself, and even my own voice being heard. So, Janet, welcome to Being Heard. And how about you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I live in Virginia, and I am at a place in my life where I have an empty nest, and I am, you know, in daily motion of living my most optimal life. And I try to help other people do the same. I try to help them basically just discover their best possible life, whatever that might be. Big believer in movement of mind, body, and soul. I think that through that, everyone can find their groove and move accordingly to living that best life. So that's kind of what I do, and where I am in my life. And happy to be
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And like I said, this is the 7P's, and the 7P's are passion, perseverance, perspective. Yeah, perspective, um, priorities, purpose, patience, and prayer. And like I said, I've got individual questions for each one, and I might deepen it a little bit depending on how your answer goes. And it's a way for us to get connected. So thank you so much. So the
here.
first question is on passion, and so let me get the question because I got the same question for everybody. So how do you take actions to increase your passion?
That's a good one. So I think by design, super passionate about a lot of things.
Hmm.
And the way that I take action for my passion is I like to write down things and kind of, you know, categorize them and just look at them and say, okay, if I'm thinking about this, how is it making me feel? Now, what action am I going to take? So if I'm super passionate about something, I usually am pretty intuitive and try to go with the gut, but I also think sometimes I need to reel in my own passion a little bit so that it doesn't override, um, especially maybe if I'm coaching someone, that my passion for their ability to, see, let's just say their best life, that I infuse that energy such that they can become passionate, but that I'm not overriding that. So usually the way that I kind of fuel that passion, the actions that I take, are, are kind of that, write it down, look at it. If I feel like I need to rein it in, but I have a lot of passion about a lot of topics. So it's something that, that I do think is a really good fuel for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And I'm curious, if you don't mind, how do you discover new passions? Like, do you bump into them, or do you have a curated list?
um, that's a great question. You know, when I think when I was defining passion, I was thinking about it kind of being that energetic, being passionate.
Okay.
When I think about passions, things that activities, maybe that I love to paint. I love to be out in nature. So those are kind of what I would define as natural passions that are just innate and part of who I am. Um, and I don't think anything could really take those away. They just feel like they're part of, my being. Same thing about exercise and
Hmm.
motion. I'm super passionate about that. I wasn't always a painter. I kind of took up painting about. I used to draw a lot, but I took up painting about probably gosh, I don't know, maybe 35 years ago, I guess. And then just tried to hone that. But I feel like when I am passionate about something, or there is something that I enjoy doing, there's a flow, just a natural flow. I have people sometimes that'll say to me, "Well, how long did it take you to paint that?" I have no clue because I was in a zone. You know, uh, I was just in a zone. I mean, I may be able to say, well, I started it a couple of months ago, but I may not have worked on it every day. But yeah, so I think, you know, I guess I am passionate about so many things that I can easily adapt and take on something, you know, something else. It may not be as deep a passion as, like exercise and nature and painting, but yeah, I just enjoy life. So I can, make something um, enjoyable, may not be exactly defined as a passion, but I can make something enjoyable um, just because I enjoy life. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Awesome. Thanks for going with that extra bonus question.
sure, sure.
The next word is perseverance. And so this one is, what is worth so much that you'd push through anything to have? Like you'd persevere through anything to have it.
Mm. Um, I I'm not real materials, like driven by material items, So I would have to say, um, I would, fight is a strong word, but I would persevere to the end, to make sure that my own self compassion and self love is there, like, that I've been, I mean, as everybody has, struggles or challenges or opportunities in life to, you know respond to, what is happening. I've had plenty of those, but um I have been told that I, persevere. I mean, that is something that I do. But if I had to attach it to something that, I would definitely not give up, it would definitely be my own self-compassion and love of self. Because I feel like if I am in a great place with that with myself, that is when I can, give and extend my light to others. And if that's off balance for me, and I would have to say I'm allowing it to be off balance by letting things come in, that don't need to be, then yeah, I would persevere for that. And also I think external to me physically, but connected with me, I think I'd be the same way if something was happening to my family or friends, right? Like I'd be there and
Mhm.
persevere in whatever way I could that would assist, them. Um, I'm definitely not a quitter. I don't quit. I think I might know when to say this isn't serving me, well, but it's not necessarily quitting. It could be just a shift in the way that I'm thinking or responding. So
Yeah,
hope that
cool.
answers the question.
Oh, yeah, I get it. Thank you. I appreciate your generosity and sharing all of that. It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
The next one is perspective. Would shifting your perspective change your level of joy in the moment?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think gosh, I probably have a lot of examples of that. There are I kind of like to bring it down to the um when I'm in a situation that may not be joyful, or by definition, I'm going to say of society, be joyful, right? Um, I do feel that I have an ability to bring it down to a place where I can at least see some light shining or some joy, you know. Um, but I live in a pretty good vibration, you know, so I think joy being, you know, that higher vibration.
Hey, do you need me to go away and come back in a little bit?
Yes, please.
What time?
Like an hour, if
I
it
can't
works.
in an hour, so I'll
Then we'll
message you.
reschedule.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you for that interruption.
Sure, sure.
And I closed the room so nobody can get in.
Okay, no worries.
And it was like, whoops, there's a learning opportunity. I left the door open. Well,
That's
it's like
funny.
Tom Bodette will leave the light on.
Yeah, right.
Um, totally distracted. No.
So we were talking about perspective, and can you shift your perspective, you know, to find joy?
Yeah.
Oh, and I was going to say that, you know, joy being the highest kind of, or close to the highest, you know, vibration. Um, I believe that it's very possible to shift your perspective, and to me, perspective of just the thoughts that you're connecting with a situation, and what are you feeling, and then what is your response. So, you know,
So the next one is priorities.
okay.
Are your priorities setting you up for success in creating more joy?
Are my priorities setting me up for success? Um, yeah, I would say my priorities, I don't have a whole lot of different priorities now at this point in my life, but I would say, yeah, they're setting me up for, um, yeah, they're setting me up for, you know, just experiencing and loving life. Yeah, I don't, I do tend to shift if, you know, as an example, we were talking about, you know, selling my house. Um, I do think that going through those types of processes, I have had to shift my priorities of, you know, am I going to pack more boxes today, you know, or am I going to paint, or am I going to clean? Um, and then still back to the perspective, when I'm doing that, knowing that shifting those priorities, where I might really want to be out in nature more, like I might want to take a longer hike, or I might want to do something different, that by shifting those priorities, it's momentary. It's not something that, you know, is heavy and it's going to not allow me to have joy. And then I just find time to, you know, or I say find, but actually just make time, even if it's 5 minutes of just going out and, you know, experiencing. Or if I am outside working, then I just enjoy that, you know,
Yeah.
regardless of, yeah, what the labor might be involved with it. So,
Yeah. And I just want you to understand that these are standard questions.
yeah.
And when I was reading the question, I was like, she already answered this. And so it was like, well, we're going through this and we're going to walk through the next one.
Oh,
So
yeah,
the
no
next
problem.
question, yeah, it's like you already answered it and it's all cool. The next one's purpose.
Hmm.
And is your ladder up against the right wall?
Ooh, that's a good visual. Is my ladder up against the right wall? I think, um, yeah, I think my ladder's up against the right wall. Um, Getting that visual of the ladder, you know, I'm thinking, are the rungs, you know, that I'm climbing, am I going at the right speed on those rungs? You know, do I need to skip a rung? Do I need to back down off, you know, and get on a lower rung? You know, so when I think about it from the visual of the ladder, I do think I'm leaning it on the right wall. It might be yeah, I think the rungs on the ladder for me, I might have a different interaction with those rungs depending on what's going on, right? I think the ladder is right, but where the rungs are, you know,
So
when I think, yeah.
excluding the rungs. So the ladder's on the right wall.
Yes.
And what are you building with that?
What am I building with the, I think I'm building a future, and well, I think I'm building a present moment that's going to lead to a future of my best life. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. And now the next question is patience. Are there any areas where you need more patience?
Well,
And I'll tell you what I just heard,
uh-huh.
the spacing of the ladder rungs. Like, they're not far enough apart.
Right. Or what I was thinking when I got the visual of the rungs and patience came in and I didn't say it because I thought one of the P's was patience.
Yeah.
I was like, sometimes I think I might skip rungs or go up the rungs too fast, which is when I need to be more patient and not
Oh, okay.
be accepting that I'm on this certain rung and that's the way it's supposed to be. And I'm okay staying there for a while. And, you know, something that I don't know if you know this about me, but every day I pull an animal card, you know, a medicine card, just for relevance of the day. Sometimes I feel like there's an energy and it's applicable.
Sure.
But today I picked a card and it was in the contrary and it was the ant. And it's all
Okay.
about patience. It's all about patience. It's all about kind of accepting what the great spirit or, you know, divine has in plan, you know, the plan for you, and to just be completely okay with that. And it was so relevant because I don't feel like an impatient person, but I also feel like sometimes there are actions that need to be taken, and I'm a doer. So I'm like, okay, let's, you know, and that can, I think, then translate into being a little impatient. And it's not with really anyone else but myself. Like, am I, you know, about back to the ladder, you know, am I on the right wall? Yep. You know, am I on the right rung? Sometimes did I go too fast up the ladder and I need to backtrack now and just be okay there? I think sometimes, just to kind of, especially if I take the rungs as activities that are happening in my life, you know, right now, we back to the house sale, you know, am I just accepting that flow, or am I pushing, you know, and taking too much action when I just need to, you know, relax and be patient with it? So I hope that answered it.
Oh yeah, I got the world of it. And I got 4 more questions for the bonus round. So
All right, all right.
yeah. Last question. And it's like we've sped through this, and it's like, okay, I want to make it last.
Sure.
Prayer. So prayer, this is a little bit slanted question. I'm telling you up front. Do you use prayer to acknowledge how something you're proud of, something you're grateful for, something you desire, and something you love about yourself? Do you pray that way?
Um I do pray, and I pray every day, and sometimes I'll pray throughout the day. Um I haven't used prayer to ask for anything. Um I really use prayer for gratitude. I think I use prayer mainly for gratitude. I will say, um, I sometimes use prayer as an extension of light to others. So I may not ask for something specific, but if I feel like somebody needs a little bit more, I may just ask for,
on
uh,
their behalf?
yeah, on their behalf, or I may, I don't ask for material things. I guess I should say, sometimes I may ask for uh, the how do I find the wisdom within me to then convey, you know, and it might be that, or sometimes I might even say, just give me a sign, right? Like if I'm on the right, track. So um I guess most of it is spent in gratitude. I usually start my day in prayer and gratitude, before I even open my eyes, for just another day, just another opportunity to breathe and exist. um but yeah, that's a great question. It's a great, like, thought provoking question, because I was brought up in a very Christian home and church, where prayer in the church we were in it was just very different, but I feel, um prayer for me is more of, it's more of a grounding and an acknowledgement that I am and can be at peace, um, and grateful for that, for that peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Have you, I grew up Episcopalian, and so that's very close to the Catholic religion in terms of the doctrine and everything. As for me, I now see prayer as the Psalms. The
Oh
Psalms are
yeah.
all prayer, and
Hmm.
they're songs of prayer.
Right.
And so it's like prayer shows up in a lot of different ways
Right.
to me. And so it's like I didn't realize what I didn't know
Right.
about the religion that I grew up in. And it's like, oh, cool.
Yeah. I think the exposure I had to prayer in church was always asking for something, and was often asking for forgiveness, or asking for, just what I was exposed to, that in order for God to hear, in the religious sense, in order for God to hear you, he hears you through prayer, and it
Yep.
has to be like asking for something.
Okay.
And um as I became a teenager and kind of separated from the formal, church, I don't know, that felt so selfish to me. And it
Okay.
almost felt like, if you're always asking for something, are you pausing to accept all of the greatness and what you already have? And so I think, as I kind of processed that, I thought, well, it's more important for me to be grateful, and it could be in the form, of a prayer. Um, and yeah, and it's not about asking for something and wanting to receive something. Um, yeah. So, but my mom, who lived to be 90, uh, and she grew up originally in an Episcopalian church, and then the Nazarene church is the church that we, grew up in, as she, left home and, found a new church for the family. So she would get down on her hands, on her knees, and pray every night. And she passed when she was 90, and she, every morning and every night, that was like a ritual for her. And I know, when I heard her prayers, that her prayers were always, never asking for anything, always for others. So I think I probably, got some of that vibe from her, even though I don't know that I've even thought about it that much until you asked the question. So
Yeah. Well, thank you.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I really enjoyed our time together here,
yeah,
and
yeah.
it's insightful. What would you like to be acknowledged for, Janet?
What would I like to be acknowledged for? Hmm.
It can be within the scope of this or anything.
Hmm. That's a good question. Um,
And it might be that you don't have anything and I
yeah,
can create it.
I don't, I'm, you know, at this point in my life, I'm not in a place where I feel like I need acknowledgement of any kind. I would say back in my corporate, days, because of literally back to that ladder, which is interesting, but climbing the corporate ladder, um, I know then I felt a great need to be understood. And some of that was, I think, the industries that I was in and obviously the environment and the people I was working with. Um, but I don't feel like I have that, need anymore. So I don't know that I mean, I think it's super important for everyone to feel acknowledged, but I also feel for myself, if I'm acknowledging myself and I'm okay with myself, that that's enough, right? That is enough. It doesn't mean that people can't say nice things and be kind, and I'm certainly very receptive to that, but it's not something that I think I have to have, right?
Yep.
So yeah, that's a good question too. You've got some
Well,
good questions.
I'd like to acknowledge you if I may.
Sure.
So, Janet, thank you so much. I acknowledge you for being the one to make a difference for people. I hear your commitment to health,
Hmm.
both physical and mental health,
Hmm.
in terms of creating a space of safety for people to show up however they show up, and a listening that's so clean that you are able to hold space for people and they feel safe. And you haven't said this, but I'm sure people share amazingly intimate things like, and you hold them safe and you have that space where people can just be self-expressed. And that difference that you're making in the world, it is making a difference. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Um, this was fun. I love thought-provoking questions and you know really kind of pondering, like another P word for you. But I like
Yeah.
that. I like that process a lot. So yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm going to stop it here.
All right.